So I've been flying the DJI Avata for a few months now, and I've been missing something, this controller. When I first bought it, like all the packages, it only comes with the motion controller, and those of you that bought it will soon find out that it's pretty limited in what it can do. It can't really do any full acro maneuvers, and it's kind of limited just on the normal flight it can do. You can't really do any like strafing type maneuvers, like where you would just hold down a roll stick and kind of yaw around something. You can't do anything like that. You can't do like any flips or anything as far as I'm aware. So I got this controller. I wanted to see how this thing would perform more in freestyle maneuvers and just what it could do. So today I'm going to be giving a more in-depth review of the Avata's flight characteristics, what it can do, what it can't do, what it's really meant for, and if this controller is worth the money, because I think it was about $200. It's not cheap and you do have to buy it separately. So if you're wondering if you should buy this or not, you've come to the right place. Let's get into it. So first of all, let's talk about the power. This is not the most powerful drone in the world. I think it's pretty heavy for the size, and the motors just don't have the juice that they really need. This is never really meant to be a freestyle quad. It just doesn't quite have the punch. It doesn't quite handle well enough. The tuning is a little weird, and it just isn't really set up for freestyle. In my opinion, what this is set up for is more like the cinematic, long swooping shots where you're low to the ground, or maybe you come in from a high angle. Things like that, things that are more cinematic in nature and don't really require large amounts of power and just crazy tuning. So what's the point of getting the controller too then? Doesn't the motion controller really perform well enough? Well, yes and no. In my opinion, the motion controller is very easy to use. It's very intuitive, but like I mentioned before, you can't really do like strafing maneuvers. And sometimes you need to do that. If you want to get a really cool cinematic shot, you can't always do all of the maneuvers you need to do with the motion controller alone. Now, does it do that? Absolutely. Is it the best platform to do that? I don't think it is personally, because I come from a larger gimbal and these have a much smaller like gamepad style gimbal. You have a lot less resolution to play with, and because of that, it doesn't feel the most precise at times. However, I do think it is a little bit more precise than the motion controller. I do feel like I have more command over the drone. I can point it to where I want it to go a little bit better, and I can track objects a little bit better. But if you're looking for a more traditional RC experience, I definitely recommend getting that controller, just for that reason alone, if nothing else. This drone is on 4S, which for this size should be plenty of power, but it's a really high milliamp hour battery. So I think that kind of degrades a little bit with the weight, and then couple that with the motors, and you just have something that doesn't really fly like your typical 5-inch freestyle quad. Now, can it do flips and rolls and all that? Yes, it can. It can do them, but it's kind of weird. And what I mean by that is anyone that's done a power loop or something like that before, where you come down in your own prop wash, you notice the jittering. Well, this thing kind of takes that to an extreme. It doesn't really damp that out at all, and it just feels really shaky and unstable at the bottom of a power loop or a hard maneuver where you're coming down into your own prop wash. So just be aware of that if you do want to try more acro stuff. You will have to deal with a lot of prop wash, and it does get kind of squirrely when it goes into that stuff. It's kind of like a cinewhoop, but with a little bit more power and a little bit better handling, if that makes sense. And the other thing that I've read before, but I personally hadn't experienced yet, was the weird yaw twitching or freaking out that some people experience when they were going really fast, and then they input like a large yaw command. So maybe I'm flying along and I yaw quick to the right, and it just freaks out. I don't know what exactly that is. It might be because I'm on the older firmware. I didn't update it because with the new firmware, you have to get remote ID, which means you have to have your phone connected to the goggles for the duration of the flight, or else the drone will not arm. That's pretty annoying. I didn't want to get into that, so I just stuck with the old firmware. So that might be a firmware thing. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments down below. And I've also noticed when I'm doing more like spangy or juicy type maneuvers, it doesn't quite have the power for it. And then when you're coming out of a trick really fast and you need to get on the throttle again really fast, it just doesn't ramp up and provide enough juice to really stop it in a crisp, controlled manner like a normal freestyle quad would. The control link range and the video range, especially with these goggles too, is just ridiculous. You have just crystal clear image quality, hundreds of yards away, and that's amazing. I couldn't even touch that with analog. I'd get all sorts of breakup. So I absolutely love that about this drone. And then one more thing on the durability I wanted to mention. So far, I mean, I've really only crashed on like grass and tall weeds. I don't really want to take this to like a bando or any parking lot type environment. I just don't want to smash it up because I bet it will break in that case. But so far, I mean, I have no troubles with the durability at all. It's just a little, caked with grass, and that's just because what I was mentioning previously, it just doesn't have the power to pull out of some of these maneuvers. So when I'm doing a loop, I'm trying to pull out really low, I just don't have the power and I go right into the ground. So just be aware of that if you're trying to do a power loop or some similar maneuver like that. That being said, I think the durability is excellent so far as long as you're not flying into trees or on the pavement. So just stay away from those things and you'll probably be fine. All right, well, that's gonna do it for today's video. I just wanted to give a quick update now that I've been using this for a few months and my thoughts on this new controller. If you want a more traditional experience, I definitely think you should get this controller. I think it's worth it and maybe a little bit expensive, but it does provide you just a little bit better control that those in the RC community would probably be looking for. So if that's what you want, go ahead and pick it up. But until next time, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, drop me a like down below. Feel free to leave me a comment and please subscribe if you haven't. See you on the next one.